So leadership on Wednesday, the fifth. Leadership Academy is at six P M on Wednesday. So it's from 5. He was supposed to drive, he's like, I can't drive right now. I looked down, I didn't look down, I was supposed to sit in front of me, say you were fast. And I said, yes. Yeah, she was yeah, just trying to make it, trying to go up.
dinner really quick? Okay, so we'll go ahead and call this study session to order. Let's see, we'll go ahead and start with the agenda. We don't need a roll call or anything, right? Of the council members? Not really for the study session. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start, Larry. Is it going to be Kevin or who's going to?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I'll make the introduction, but want to just, again, establish the theme for tonight's evening, for this evening's presentations. We've got a policy discussion. Tonight we've got Brian McBride and James Heaton from Wilson and Company that are going to provide the mayor and council with a bit of an overview of the continued goal and strategy of expanding our wastewater treatment plant. And then we've got presentations from CAG and from the SEMPO, and we'll make those introductions when we move to the next two slideshows. So with that, Brian, do you want to introduce yourself and jump into this presentation?
Thanks, Larry. You said Brian McBride. I'm National Lead for Water Wastewater for Wilson & Company. Happen to be here in Phoenix, and James Heaton is the Phoenix practice lead for water wastewater. So we've been working with the city. I think most of you heard me speak before. We've been working with the city on the wastewater program for a couple years now, helping to solve the issues, to try not to slow things down here and keep up with the demand from the developments coming in. And so what I'm going to talk about today is there's the water reclamation facility upgrade is a continuing process in phase 4. And I'll talk about this is the phase 4B is the one that is about to be initiated. And so I just wanted to bring everybody through about what the background is and what the reasoning for it is. So I'll try to, engineers don't understand a lot of times that normal people don't speak our language. So I'll try, if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to interrupt me, but I'll try to make sure that I speak normally if I can. So the preview here, I'm going to talk, this isn't too long a presentation, but I'll take everybody through the history of the plant real quickly and the capabilities, and then talk about why a phase 4 expansion was necessary at all, which is underway right now, the first phase of it. Why was it split into an A and B? Very strategic reasons for that, and I'll go through those. And then talk about the objectives for phase 4A, which is what's under construction right now, and then the challenges of doing 4A and 4B, and what were the 4A challenges? Why did we do 4A? Then what was included in the 4A upgrade that's being constructed now? Then what are the objectives of the phase 4B upgrade? What's going to be included in the phase 4B upgrade? And what is the projected cost and schedule of the phase 4B upgrade? So just to give some perspective here, you can see, I don't know if you can see that here, the plant, for those who don't know, is up in the northwest corner here. UR here is down here along the road just to our south there. So the plant has been, go down one. Here's a view of the plant. I'm going to, for those that can see here, that we have some things I'm going to talk about briefly here. These are the oxidation ditches. This is before the 4A upgrade that's going on right now. These are the clarifiers. Here's a key thing to this. This is the abandoned pre-treatment basin that was used before to treat the Abbott flows, to pre-treat the Abbott flows before they got that under control to pre-treat themselves. And so that was abandoned some years ago and put directly into the plant. And so they don't use that right now, but it is quite an asset there that we're taking advantage of. So you can see the plant, there's room on the site. A lot of these things are, by the way, there's a lot of things that aren't used anymore that were just abandoned in place, and so they're just out there not being used and slowly rotting away. So a little bit on the plant history. This was first commissioned in the 1970s, and it has had 3 significant upgrades there. Phase 1, 2, and 3, that's the name for the phase 4 that we're doing now. The last expansion, phase 3, was commissioned in 2012. The capabilities in 2022, it had an average day influent flow capacity of 12 million gallons per day, and a peak hour influent capacity of 24 million gallons per day. And of course, that accounts for during the day you have peaks, so a lot more flow comes in than on the average. So the average is 12 on the capacity, but it can take as much as 24 in the front of the plant. Then the effluent disposal capacity in 2022 was only 6 MGD under their permit, and that's what flows out to the north branch of the river. And so in 2022, the plant was already exceeding the permit limit for the effluent flows. They were over that 6 MGD, and the committed capacity of the new developments coming in was nearly 12 MGD in 2022, and so that was an issue, and that we were brought in to help solve. So the Phase 4B overall, including the one that's under development now, why was that necessary? Well, really in support of the city's successful economic growth plan. You've had a ton of growth, industrial, commercial, residential, and it's hard to keep up with that. So there was significant new development, and as I said, the flows are exceeding the effluent permit limit. And so, there was talk at one time about having to, are we going to have to slow this down? Are we going to have to get in the way of some of these developers? And of course, that's something you don't want to do. So why was it Phase 4 split into A and B, which you normally wouldn't do? You do it all at once. But there was a time and a cost limitations. So the time I mentioned already, the city was already exceeding its effluent limits. And typically, an upgrade of this size takes about a 5-year project life cycle. But what we really wanted to target was, okay, can we figure out a way to do the permitting, design, and construction of an expansion by 2025? So that would require temporary measures required to meet a schedule. So it was really an accelerated schedule, and so, okay, can you figure out a way to do it, to get it permitted, because there's a lot of permit requirements to do that. And then on top of that, there was cost, because this was something at the time the city did not have in its funding. So this one was less expensive. I'll talk that in a minute. It was able to delay a lot of the expenditures till the city could line up the funding for it in the future, and put it into the city budget planning, which has been done. Okay, now talking about 4A, as I said, there were some challenges to that, and so we had to look at some innovative ways to get it done. I guess some consultants probably say, no, you just can't do it. You're too bad. You got to give a 5-year project. Well, so we came in and looked for a solution there. How do we increase the effluent discharge options to increase the flows for the discharge, which is a big primary problem? And then how do you minimize the upgrades that you need to do to expand the plant capacity to meet that 2025 schedule and delay the expenditures? So we took a look at it and said, okay, can we put off short-term non-critical upgrades, things that you don't have to do that could get it permitted and yet would normally be done in a project of this type, and achieve the permit requirements for the 6 MGD expansion. And then enable expanded effluent recharge and reuse, and which the city really needs for its DAWs, for the available water rights, and so a lot of that had to be taken into account too. So they wanted to provide the West Side Industries with recycled water, which is part of the plan, and then increase groundwater credits for future use. I won't go into that too much, but of course a creative solution was required, and I think some of you are familiar with the solution that was determined. So that solution started with converting the abandoned basin to flow equalization. So that old line pretreatment basin could be converted to basically everything from there on down could be held at the 24 maximum hydraulic capacity downstream of that. So by converting that to equalization, it could hold it there and feather it out. So downstream, you didn't have to hydraulically upgrade the downstream processes. So that was repurposed. And then also can be, once that is taken back out, that can be used as emergency storage. So you're not, we designed the infrastructure to make sure that could still be useful later on for good redundancy. And then the second one was an innovative biological treatment retrofit. So the technology has really come a long way in the last 15 or 20 years. And so it was able to have implemented a suspended fixed film system technology, which eliminated the requirement for new treatment basins. So those basins, those oxidation ditches that I showed you, they're buried concrete, huge, very expensive basins. And so by not having to do more of those in the upgrade, it saved just an enormous amount of money by applying that technology. And it actually expands the treatment capacity of the biological treatment in there by 50%. So you get 150% of the current capacity biologically in those basins, and you don't have to hydraulically upgrade them because of the EQ basin. So that was great, and really what that does is, just real quick, is it puts small little particles in the wastewater that then, so that supports them. So in addition to the biomass that grows inside those basins that biodegrades the carbon and nitrogen, it has a fixed film aspect that is on these floating things, little particles that are neutrally buoyant, and those go through and they will settle out once they're completely covered. They'll settle out in the clarifiers, and then they'll get screened out and put back in, so they get constantly recycled. And so it expands the capacity by just, you have to add screens, and then you add this media, and it increases your capacity. So it's pretty state-of-the-art technology used for retrofit now in a lot of places. And then to also speed it up, we recommended a construction manager at risk procurement, which allowed overlapping design and construction schedules, which really, was the final thing that allowed this to be done. The schedule's been done, and that's been quite successful. We're within a couple months now of the first one being done, and PCL is the CMAR on it, and it's gone quite well so far. What was included in the 4A upgrade? So it was just the bare minimum that we needed to get it expanded. The plant headworks, we have a new junction box, which I know you guys are familiar with the force mains that are coming in, the new force mains from the east and the west. Those are coming into a new junction box. We upgraded the influent pump station because that one you did have to go above 24 MGD, had to get that up to 36 MGD because that's before the EQ basin. Then the septic receiving station, and then all the stuff that goes into the influent equalization basin pump station. As I mentioned, we retrofitted the biological treatment system, added tertiary filtration, then did sludge handling, odor control, and dewatering beds, and then an effluent pump station, which is really key to the new reclaimed water and recharge and reuse. And then really we're able to get permit updates for the 18 MGD capacity and unlimited discharge. So under the new permit, there is no longer a discharge limit for effluent. The total cost of that phase was approximately $34 million, which is less than $6 per gallon of capacity, which is dramatically less than an upgrade like this would normally cost. And I will come back to that here later on in the presentation. That'll come up again. So what were the objectives, or what are the objectives of Phase B? All right, so this is a continuation now. This is kind of the finishing of it. And it's really to increase the peak hour flow capacity for all the processes. So it's really to take that EQ basin back out and convert it to emergency storage, because it's not we really would rather not use that at all. We have to do it right now, but our capacity is low enough that we can make this change to never have to use that EQ basin, because it's a tricky thing to use. It'll work, but it's, there are some risks involved in that, and operational difficulties as you go in and out of that. And so that's the objective here, and it'll maximize, the upgrades will maximize the operator's safety and improve work conditions. Now, it's not that it's unsafe right now, but it was done in a way that, as these flows grow, because they're only at 6.5 MGD now of that capacity. We had to expand the capacity, and then you grow into it. And so the idea is to get the 4B done to maximize some of these things, including operator safety. And it'll increase the long-term reliability and operability of the plant, enhance the odor control for the entire plant, because there were some places that we're like, well, you could really use some more odor control here, but we didn't have to get it done. So now we're following up now and doing those ones to make sure that the odor control is there as the plant capacity grows, and you'll be good neighbors in the long term. And then, of course, reduce the long-term operating cost per gallon. As you might imagine, when you do one of these short ones, you don't do everything that would make the cost low on operating. So as it grows, you want to bring those operating costs down per gallon. And so that really addresses the items that were put off in the Phase A in order to get it done for the time and the funding that was available. So the 4B upgrade, the new one, what is going to be included? So that'll be a new administration building, because as it grows, you're going to need increased staffing. That'll provide more safety for the operators as we upgrade the technology on that. Very much expand the lab capabilities and improve parts storage. So all those things will make it less expensive and easier to operate and safer to operate the plant. And then, as I mentioned, converting the EQ basin to emergency storage, expanding the peak flow capacity of the downstream processes, the grip basin, splitter boxes, clarifiers, disinfection, all that, everything so you can take that out, make it just emergency storage. And then enhance the odor control system, which I already mentioned. And then a big one is for all these upgrades, the last few upgrades, all they did was abandon in place all the stuff that they weren't using for the next upgrade. And that's created a situation where every time they go to do something at the plant, they run into something that wasn't well documented. So, you know, all that stuff really should be cleaned up and taken out of there. And that'll improve the safety, reliability, operating cost, and certainly the future cost uncertainty. You know, most of the change orders we've run into on the current job are because something that we didn't know was out there. So we're going to go through and clean up the whole site that way and make it, you know, fully usable and ready for the next expansion. You know, free up that space, and so the next folks coming in have a clean slate to work from. All right, cost and schedule here, 4B. So the projected cost of the upgrade is $70 million, and so that brings the total cost for Phase 4 A and B to $104 million over, you know, 6 years or so of the project. And that 17 million is much less than a typical cost per gallon of capacity, even with what I call the finishing of the upgrade. And most of the reason for that is because of the innovative technology and not having to do those big, expensive new basins. So in the end, you'll still get a lot of capacity for less money. We looked up the cost per gallon of the Phase 3 upgrade, which was commissioned in 2012 when things were a lot cheaper, and that was $22 a gallon, right? So the value that the city is getting and the ratepayers are getting is very good, in our opinion, in comparison costs. So the projected Phase 4B schedule is 30 months. Again, there's no big rush on getting that done, other than, you know, if the longer you go, there's some risk, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So the 30-month schedule, you know, is not a relaxed schedule, because you need to get this done, but it's also one that's completely feasible and doable without a lot of risks. So in Q1, through design and CM contracts first, coming up here this year, and then the GMP1 submittal will be later this year with pre-purchase equipment, which is important, especially for electrical. Some of the electrical gears are taking 1.5 years to get. And then the final design would be done, and the GMP2 submittal for the construction 2026. And then the start of construction in Q2 2026, and substantial completion and commissioning. Actually, we bumped that back. That's going to be Q4 2027. I forgot to change that. My apologies. So that'll be Q4 2027. I'll modify that before I send this out. I also forgot to change the date on this presentation, so I'll make those modifications before I send the final copy of this out for your records. So that 30 months is pretty important. It's the least amount of time you can do this comfortably, but it's important because as the influent flow grows over time, the operational risks increase, right? So just the potential negative impacts if this gets delayed is operational cost per gallon, plant worker safety, odor issues and complaints, process stability and permit violations, the risk goes up of that, and then water quality issues for effluent reuse and recharge. Basically, as the flows grow, it gets harder to operate, higher risk, and it's more expensive. Okay, here's the milestones scheduled. This one was updated, so you can see there the final completion in December 2027 from the start here of the initiation in March of this year. That's the schedule. And this is not new necessarily, so this is something that, you know, was kind of scheduled into the program here for a while. This is new. This is our estimate of the cash flow expenditures by fiscal year and calendar year for the remainder of the Phase 4A construction. You see that remainder is about 19 million, a little less than that now that we're chipped away at Q1 already in 2025. But you can see generally we have it by each quarter for the remainder of 4A, the 4B, and then the recharge site, which has been initiated, but we're waiting on funding for that. We didn't get the funding. We had a meeting with the funding agency to ask them why, and so we're going to reapply with that, given their feedback on that. We're highly confident that that'll get funded by, James, who's the funding agency for that? Bureau of Recs, the Smart Water Program for the Bureau of Reclamation. Thank you, James. So that's the general expenditures of the program for each of these over time. You can say it goes all the way out to the end Q4 of 2027. And I would say this asterisk there is funded by federal grant. Okay. Hopefully didn't take up too much of your time, and you guys kind of are caught up on this, so I'll just open it up to questions.
Okay, any questions, anyone, comments? Go ahead, Anthony.
Thank you, Brian, for taking the time out to explain it more in detail for us. This was the area that I speak about for our state of the city. And I do know that number's up a little bit more than where we initially started with the expansion. I think it was 80 million.
Madam Mayor, council members, 80 million includes a variety of projects. The 80 million included Phase 4A that Mr. McBride talked about, as well as the Courtson Force Main line that's going in the ground today, and also the West Side reuse line that's being constructed as well. And I believe it included the lift station that we're building on the west side as well. So there was a combination. What Mr. McBride has pointed out today and covered today is mostly about the plant itself, the treatment wastewater reclamation facility. So that's, but there are obviously some additional costs with 4B, as he outlined.
Yeah, and this is a different window than we were talking about when we outlined the program.
Okay.
Right.
And I do understand this is necessary that we do the upgrade at that facility in order to work those lines that's going out west as well as going down Courtson out to Hennis. And I know it's very important that we get that solidified. So thank you for bringing that up, and I appreciate the work that you're all doing. And the understanding too, I think you mentioned it a little bit, sometimes you run into issues and problems. And so we understand that sometimes things are delayed. So I'm asking for patience for our community, because there's a lot of work that's going on Courtson Road from that facility out. And it's going to be time consuming, but we're thankful that we're looking at the future, what's best for our city. So thank you for taking the time.
I appreciate that, Councilman. And we've also, on the pipeline stuff, the city recently asked us, hey, can we look at doing trenchless technology to avoid getting out of the intersections? I know there's been some issues with some traffic control in the intersections, so we're doing that right now. We're looking at doing trenchless technology through the intersections on the pipeline stuff we're working, which isn't part of this presentation, but I just want to mention that we definitely consider that, and I'm trying to make sure that it's the least disruptive on the citizens.
Can you say that one more time, please?
Least disruptive, huh? Okay.
And Madam Mayor, members of the council, if I can just add a couple of other elements that I think is important. One of the reasons why we wanted to, as a staff, have this presentation done in advance of our budget preparation. Number one, we wanted to give all of you a context as we're moving through the various phases. As Mr. McBride pointed out, we found ourselves in a scenario about 3-4 years ago where our discharge permits were not meeting what we could actually process at the plant. And so that became the initial goal, and Wilson and Company assisted us in moving to a point where that is not where those discharge areas can actually grow with our plant processing capabilities. So that was a key goal. The second is that it has been clear by Mayor and Council and the staff that we want to reuse as much effluent as we possibly can, and there's going to be a number of policy discussions that this Mayor and Council will be having in the upcoming months related to reuse. And most importantly, we wanted to try to, with all of the moving parts with water, and I know we had a water presentation at the last study session, we want to begin to recapture as much of the effluent as we possibly can, because it will become a key to future growth in Casa Grande 15, 20, 30 years from now. And so those were really three goals that we had as we put the overall program together. But I think one of the most important elements, and Mr. McBride talked on the cash flow analysis that he showed at the very end, and they modify that regularly for us. But really what we saw is a path to ultimately finance this on a year-to-year basis. We were taking various segments of this project, because $104 million is one of the biggest capital improvement projects that the Mayor and Council will be considering. And so ultimately breaking that down into what I consider to be bite-sized components for us to be able to put a financing plan behind that became key to the strategy that we started with Phase 4A.
Any other questions?
Actually, can you go back to your flash, there you go. So on this, so the recharge site, I'm new to the council, so that's already underway based on this? If we're in the calendar year, well, just getting started in June.
Yeah, Councilman, we have done the initial conceptual plan and the report that is needed to submit for the grant. We submitted for the grant. We were denied on that, even though it looked like we were a shoo-in. And so we went and had that meeting with them to find out why. So we will be resubmitting shortly on that. And so we fully anticipate that that'll get funded under that grant. It is underway. It probably is not going to meet this schedule here because that just happened, but it still could meet this schedule because that those things get reevaluated more than once a year.
Okay, so we don't have a CMR then yet for?
We do not. We have not moved to procurement on that particular project, primarily in the grant application where the program was very robust, and a number of municipalities within Pinal County and around Arizona received funding for those, and we were hoping we'd be able to take advantage of that as well. And so we will, as Mr. McBride pointed out, we just learned that late last week that we did not receive the funding for that, and that was specifically for the design at that point.
For the design.
There's been some conceptual work that's been done, as Mr. McBride has pointed out. But certainly there's a bit of a history on that as well, Councilman. We actually had another site located and actually elected to move that to gain more capacity in the recharge capabilities, which is the project that Mr. McBride's speaking to specifically.
Okay.
But it becomes part of the overall goal of keeping that effluent within our community.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? I do have one question. So I know you talk a little bit about, as far as the ultimate goal is to grow into capacity, going from increase the flow from 24 MGD to 36. So when you say grow into capacity, how far out does that take us?
Well, according to we're not the modeler, but according to the models that were done, I believe it was 7 years.
Okay.
That was the last one that I saw, right? It
Right.
was 7 years.
Okay. So Larry, and after that 7 years, what happened? I mean, is it, we have to invest all of this again in 7 years, or what happens?
It really depends on a variety of elements, and I hate to use that as an answer, but I will say that it really ties into some of the dialogue that we've been having about building additional capacity at this particular plant. We do have a number of acres at this location that we can take advantage with expansions. We've also been talking about the east side partnership, and then the west side. We have not had a lot of dialogue with this new mayor and council on the west side, but Global Water actually comes into our city limits with their 208 on the west side. And so it certainly, we have options is what I want everybody to know, but quite frankly, as the community grows, we're going to have to build additional capacity one way or the next in order to meet the demands. And one of the most important elements and I know the council members that were here a couple of years ago heard this, we have really seen a significant change in the user type of our plant. We had a heavy emphasis on residential customers up until this most recent economic development boom, and now we're seeing these manufacturing companies and the like that are coming to the community, and they dispose of an industrial waste at high volumes. And so really we're trying to position ourselves really from an efficiency perspective, as Mr. McBride pointed out. At the end of the day, we are looking for the efficiencies to our customer base as well but the customer base is changing, and we're having to evaluate that as we move forward.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Thank you, Brian. Anything else?
I guess I have one more based
Sure.
on that then.
Yeah.
Is there different processes at the plant itself based on industrial versus residential influent?
No, because the plant's sizable. If it was smaller, that would be the case, but it's large enough now, and you have enough base residential that it'll offset any variances you get from the commercial and industrial users.
Okay, but if it was just a residential versus just an industrial, it would be a
It
different
would be,
process?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, for the next two presentations, want to introduce a couple of individuals that, and Andrea, I'd like CAG to go first, if you're okay with that. Are you comfortable with that? So the city of Casa Grande, as we pointed out at the last study session, you've been meeting some of our partners and members that we have an ongoing relationship with. And obviously, the first is going to be CAG, which is a council of governments that ultimately provides services to a number of jurisdictions in typically a region, and those regions are established by the governor through an executive order decades ago. And I don't want to take any of Andrea's presentation away from her, but Andrea Robles manages CAG. Councilman Huddleston has been the delegate from the council to serve on that executive board for a number of years. And really, this is an opportunity for Andrea to ultimately give the council a better understanding as a full of what CAG, the services they provide, and the relationships that they've got with their various municipal governments and Casa Grande specifically. So, Andrea, it's yours.
Thank you,
now.
Larry. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Tonight I have with me our Transportation and Water Quality Planning Director. He'll jump in midway through the presentation, Steve Abraham. So he's going to change the slides because I like to keep talking and then I won't change the slides. So as Larry mentioned, CAG was incorporated in 1975, and we are one of 6 regional planning agencies. The Council of Governments were established by Executive Order 70-2, and the governments of the region were encouraged to join and cooperate with one another in an effort to improve the health, safety, and general welfare of their citizens, to plan for communities, and to plan for future development of the region. Next. So CAG is comprised of Gila and Pinal counties. We have the 2 counties, 17 incorporated communities, and 4 Native American communities. Our 23 member entities are represented on CAG's regional council and our various committees. The regional council is comprised of our elected officials, which includes the mayors, council members, county supervisors, and our tribal leaders. Next, you will see CAG's organizational chart. We are a small agency. We have a couple of vacancies, and I wanted to point out Zena Gagnon, she is our mobility management coordinator. That is a shared position that we have through an IGA with the Sun Corridor MPO. So Zena does provide services on behalf of CAG and SCMPO for mobility management, and I believe Steve will touch a little bit on that. And I guess this is actually where I'm going to turn to Steve so he can talk to you about water quality and a little bit about transportation.
Thank you, Andrea. Mayor, Council, thank you for having us tonight. One of the primary ways that we serve your community is through the management of the EPA Section 208, which is, if you just call it a 208 plan, pretty much everybody in the biz knows what you're talking about, but it's part of federal regulation of the Clean Water Act. Now, we're the designated planning agency for Gila and Pinal County, and act as ADQ's liaison in the planning of those facilities across our particular region. The CAG 208 area-wide water quality management plan, produced under Section 208, is usually and most frequently a stipulation of development approvals within their planning approval processes. So that's a fancy way of saying is that the growth that you approve through your zoning and planning processes also needs to be accommodated, and appropriate infrastructure through this process as well. So like the facility that you just talked about here can accommodate on a long-term basis growth that you anticipate over the next 20-year time frame. So one of the other things that we do is provide regional coordination with public and private wastewater facilities using these area-wide area plans. Every community, if they have a facility over a certain size and a certain capacity and other things, which I won't get into tonight, they have to produce one of these management plans. And that's a way that we can ensure active and continuous public involvement, coordination between jurisdictions and any stakeholders, both on the public and private side. Through this process that we involve as many people as we possibly can, we hope that it coordinates and appropriate wastewater service to protect and enhance regional surface and groundwater, which is really the primary mission of the program. Also to that end, beyond wastewater treatment facilities, CAG, with a generous grant from ADEQ, we did a septic study, which basically documents and takes a look at possible malfunctioning or inadequate septic systems. So this would be for development that's not on a regional wastewater treatment facility, and the effects of that those facilities may have on surface water. A similar study was conducted in Gila County, and it did bear fruit that the county was able to receive some funding at the federal level to help remediate some of these malfunctioning facilities. In terms of regional planning, so getting a little bit away from the wastewater side of things, we do socioeconomic data collection for state population projections. Those are important because the state likes to project and figure out where they're going to send the money come around budget time. We ask for residential completions, annexations, and group quarter populations. Mobility management. So as Andrea said, our mobility manager also serves with SCIMPO because we have a number of providers that cross those jurisdictional boundaries between Sun Corridor and CAG amongst many of your neighboring communities in the valley here. We also provide some transportation planning services in a very limited sense. If you have questions about roads and larger transportation projects, we ask that you call Jason first. He's your primary contact, and he'll come up and talk a little bit more. But we take a look at Gila County, Eastern Pinal County, and Ak-Chin Indian Community. And then lastly, we do the Community Block Development Program for the jurisdictions that you see listed here. Further, regional planning in a data gathering sense, we contract with MAG. Those state projections that I mentioned earlier are based on a massive computer program that MAG uses to calculate traffic and population in all over this region from here to basically Tucson. So we take a look at traffic count verifications. We met with some communities to make sure that we're setting those tubes up in the right spot to catch the areas that may not have been adequately captured in previous years. We review and update those land use databases and make sure that those land use projections that the larger agencies have are accurate. And then we also collect the residential completions and group quarters information, which that goes to the Office of Economic Opportunity for the development of the state annual projections for DES purposes. And shared revenue, by the way. Of course, can't leave that one out. Did you want me to go over this too, or?
I can jump in.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So one of the things that CAG also provides is project admin, management, technical assistance. And right now, one of the things that we're really jumping into what the program is with WIFA, so water infrastructure. WIFA contracts with the rural COGs in Arizona to provide procurement and Davis-Bacon monitoring for the WIFA project. So if you have any of those that you're interested in or currently doing, just make sure that you ask for the technical assistance. There is no charge to the member entity, and WIFA will cover that cost. Happy to share more information on that, but basically they'll come out and contact us, and we can assist you and take care of your procurement and do those interviews. We have staff who has been working on multiple projects, and I believe so I might have jumped ahead. Steve, if you'll go to the next one, I'll talk about some of the WIFA projects. Staff has been out here in the Casa Grande area right now we have the Sierra Vista project. That one is near end, and earlier in the year, I thought she had listed it. I feel like we had two on here. I don't see them listed, but I know that last fiscal year we had another one out here in Casa Grande that was completed. So you'll see staff in the area. We have several in Eloy, and the contracts are just coming. Today I was on the phone talking about 3 new ones, so it's exciting to see that area pick up, and hopefully we can keep those grants flowing with everything that's going on with budget season right now. The other thing that we do is we also offer project admin and assistance for USDA grants, EPA grants. We've recently been involved with the Army Corps of Engineers, and that's Section 595. And as Steve mentioned, we have the contract with MAG. So if there are any interest, or if I know that you guys have a much larger staff than some of our smaller member agencies, but if there is ever any assistance that you may need with grants or whatever it may be, happy to jump in and help. And then lastly, just wanted to touch a little bit on economic development. So CAG is one of 3 agencies in the state who is designated as an economic development district. And basically that just provides some clout when applying for an EDA grant. We're here to help. We also have a SEDS committee, which we do have representation from the city, and most of our member agencies sit on that committee as well. We develop a SEDS every 5 years, so we are getting ready to start that document. And I just want to share that we did learn this last year with Wilson and Company. If you are looking to apply for the EDA grants, funding is about a year to a year and a half out. So it's more of that future planning, not that immediate need. We had looked at a couple of public works grants, and we were expecting that funding to come in the next few months, but unfortunately, it's a little lengthier to get to that funding. And then just lastly, I want to thank the mayor for attending our legislative day last week. It was a great event. We had about 90 people in attendance, so thank you for coming out. That is an event that we host jointly with Sun Corridor and NACOG every year. So looking forward to seeing you, and if any of your council members can come out next year, and then possibly some more engagement in the upcoming weeks with our legislators. I'll coordinate with Irene on that and hope to have you guys out maybe to our office or in a general location to have another connection with them. So that's all I have. I know it was pretty quick, and I just want to share that we also do a 101 for all of our new members or anybody interested at the office. It gives you the opportunity to interact with some of our mayors and council members who are new to this committee or new to CAG. Sometimes they'll come to our regional council and say, what am I supposed to be doing? Why am I here? Why am I voting on this? So we do a more sit down with staff and ask questions or dive more into this. I wasn't too sure how much time we had, so we'll also keep you on the invite for that. And if anybody wants to attend, you're welcome to come out to our office and jump into that as well. So happy to answer any questions. If you have any.
I just wanted to thank Councilmember Huddleston, because you've been a member and representing the city for several years now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor McFarland placed me on there. So,
And you said you're going to continue. I believe he's going to continue to.
yeah.
Okay. Good. So thank you very much, Bob. Any questions, comments? Thank you very much, though, for the summary. It's great
Thank
for us to.
And you all have my business card, so feel free to call me with any questions, email, text, whatever it
Perfect.
is.
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
And Madam Mayor, members of the council, if I can, give a little bit of a history outline before I ask Irene to come up and start the SCMPO. Obviously, CAG provides a number of what we consider to be regional planning and guidance to the municipalities in Gila and Pinal County. When Casa Grande reached a 50,000 population city, and I was quickly trying to calculate that in my head when we did that, feels like yesterday, but I know it's been more than 10 years. We, as a city, elected to become an entitlement city, which meant that the community development block grant funds are distributed directly to our organization, and all of you take action on the planning for those grant funds every year. We have a 5-year plan, and so we're handling that internally as an organization. And we were also required at that point in time to form a transportation planning organization. We, at that time, had an opportunity to simply take the similar strategy of CDBG and go on our own, but we elected to engage other municipalities and the county within Pinal County. And ultimately, after a fair amount of dialogue amongst the groups, we found that several cities in Pinal County had elected, such as Maricopa, elected to go to MAG to receive their transportation services. The city of Coolidge, Eloy, and Casa Grande, as well as the county, elected to form the SCMPO. And I'll let Irene, I'll introduce Irene Higgs. I think most of you know her. I'll let her give you a bit of an overview. But both of these organizations work very closely with the city today, primarily on transportation and the 208. And again, as we're putting these puzzles together, the puzzle pieces together for all of you, I know that we've got 208 applications, particularly for the east side, and the potential partnership with Arizona Water, so that we would be making application to CAG in that particular case. And you'll hear me apologize several times over the course of the next year that in government we have about 25,000 acronyms that we throw out there regularly. And so I apologize if we don't spell those out, but if you have questions about what an acronym is, please ask. Right, Councilman Edwards? You're now just starting to get, you're at about 12,500 that you understand, but certainly a lot of acronyms. But the Sun Corridor Metropolitan Planning Organization, SCMPO, Ms. Higgs.
Thank you, Larry. And yes, we do use a lot of acronyms, and I try really hard not to do that. When I start with my executive board, Mayor Fitzgibbons is new to the board. I give her a list of acronyms in her book. So.
And then you keep adding more that you forgot on there. She's like, oh shoot, I didn't have that one.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Herman, and council members. As Larry said, I'm Irene Higgs, and I'm the Executive Director for the Sun Corridor Metropolitan Planning Organization, also known as an MPO. Tonight, I want to kind of give you an overview of why the MPO was formed, what we do, kind of highlight some of our accomplishments over the past 10 years, and yes, Larry, we're going on 11 years now, and what the future of the MPO looks like. So the 2010 census determined that the city of Casa Grande had reached the 50,000 in population. And so by federal law, for the city of Casa Grande to be eligible for transportation funding, they have to form a metropolitan planning organization. The members included the cities of Casa Grande, Coolidge, Eloy, and a portion of Pinal County. We cover 1,155 square miles with an estimated population of 148,000. In 2014, the city of Casa Grande and the Sun Corridor MPO signed an agreement for the city of Casa Grande to be our fiscal agent. They provide services to us in HR, finance, and IT assistance. The planning boundaries for the MPO must include at least the urbanized area, and then they look out 20 years what that urbanized area for the whole area might look like. So you can see we include Casa Grande, Stanfield, Coolidge, Eloy, and we go all the way down to the Pinal and Pima County line down by Marana. So what is an MPO? An MPO is a transportation policy making and planning body. We work very closely with local elected officials, our state and federal governments, including ADOT, Federal Highways Administration, and the Federal Transit Association, or Administration, I apologize, and the Maricopa Association of Governments, Central Arizona Governments, and other stakeholders that are involved in transportation. The planning process that we do, we call it the 3 C's, must be continuing, cooperative, and comprehensive. And by federal law, we must do everything with including the public and everything that we do. So we have a pretty detailed planning process that includes the public. So here's our organizational chart. We are a staff of 2. We have an executive director and a deputy director. And the executive director reports directly to the executive board. We do not have a management committee at this time. However, I do keep the city managers and the county manager well informed of the MPO progress or any situations that may arise. And then we have a technical advisory committee that reports to and makes recommendations to the executive board. And here's our current board structure. which is comprised of elected officials from our member agencies. And then we do have one representative from the State Transportation Board. And then our Transportation Advisory Committee is made up of our public works and planning staff from our member agencies. And we do have one representative from the Arizona Department of Transportation Multimodal Planning Division, the ADOT planner. Kudos to Dwayne. Dwayne has served as the chairman for the Technical Advisory Committee for now going on almost 10 years. So thank you, Dwayne. He keeps me grounded, or he says I keep him grounded. I'm not sure which it is. So the MPO budget, we are 100% federally funded, and the funding passes through the Arizona Department of Transportation to the MPO. We receive approximately $1.2 million annually. So that's funding the first three categories there, the Metropolitan Planning Funds, the PL funding, statewide planning and research funds, SPR funding, and the Federal Transit 5305D funding is what we utilize to operate the MPO and to do any federally required studies or documents that the MPO is required to do. The last two categories, the Surface Transportation Block Grant funding and the Carbon Reduction funding, is the funding that we have to do design and construction projects. In today's environment, that's roughly $730,000. You can't build a lot for $730,000 in design and construction today. And so we've had to become very creative in how we bring money into the region. And so a couple of ways that we've been able to do that is ADOT has had a loan program between the councils of governments and the MPOs where I can loan them my $730,000 for a couple of years and then get it back in order to do a larger project. Another way that we've been very successful in is competitive grants through either ADOT or the US DOT, and also direct allocations from our congressional districts and earmark funding through the state legislature. By doing these things, we've been able to bring in and help our member agencies bring in over $86.2 million in funding. And so you can see for the city of Casa Grande, we have helped bring in $23.1 million over the last, well, from 14 through 28, so we're programmed out through 2028, 15 years. So if you take my $730,000 that I get a year times 15, this will exceeds that amount of money. Might have had about $11 million to do design and construction projects. We're pretty proud of this. And whenever I show you a couple of our studies, we'll show you how we've been able to accomplish bringing in that amount of money. So here's a couple of our planning projects. I'll touch on a few that we're actively doing right now, and then a couple of that we've done where we've been able to actually incorporate some of those studies. So here's the studies that we are federally required to do. We are required to do a long-range transportation plan. That is required every 4 years. The Transportation Improvement Program lists all of our federally funded projects. It's a 5-year plan. We are also required to do all the air quality conformity analysis. We are actually in what we call a PM10 and a PM 2.5 non-attainment area. We also do transit studies. Title VI plan is required every year and is due to the ADOT Civil Rights Office by August 1st of every year. And then we also have to have a very detailed public participation plan on how we are going to engage the public. Other studies that we do safety studies, safe routes to school studies, and we also do traffic counts along with ADOT. So the Regional Transportation Plan is, like I said, a federally required document. It is updated every 4 years. This plan is a 25-year plan, so we are looking at current and future population and employment growth, the current transportation system, and what the future conditions would look like, also air quality, and it also requires us to outline our goals, objectives, and federal performance measures. This study was just completed in March of 2024. We are currently kicking off a Safe Routes to School study for the city of Casa Grande. So this study was funded through a Transportation Alternative Competitive Grant through ADOT. We actually have the kickoff meeting starting this Friday. It will include all schools, K through 12, and we will include all public, charter, and private schools. And it will include the 5 E's, which includes engineering, education, enforcement, encouragement, and evaluation. So we'll look at existing walking and biking for routes for students to schools, also the infrastructure that is in place and might be lacking. We'll document the walk and bike and vehicle interactions. So you're going to see a lot of traffic counts coming up with possibly some cameras and all of that, looking at turning movements. And then we'll also look at walk and bike issues and barriers. And then we'll do recommendations that include these, the 5 E's is what we call it. We will be looking for a champion from council. We've done this in the past when we did a transit study, and actually Mayor Fitzgibbons sat on that technical advisory committee, and it's really nice to have somebody from council on that committee to provide an update to council and to really be our champion. So stay tuned. If we have any volunteers, we'll be happy to take those. We're also doing a Safe Routes to School for the city of Coolidge as well. Another study that we're just about to wrap up is the Pinal County Strategic Transportation Safety Plan. When the MPO was first formed, the MPO did a safety study just for our region. And then we had the Maricopa Association of Governments and Central Arizona Governments who also had separate studies as well. And so Pinal County came to me and asked if we could do one combined study that had one vision and one goal. And so since 2019, the Sun Quarter MPO has been leading this effort. And so the safety plan really looks at all the crash data that's been submitted to ADOT for the past 5 years. And we look at how can we reduce the fatal and serious injury crashes. So again, we've got 5 E's, we call it. We like to use that in transportation. It's engineering, enforcement, education, and emergency services. And so throughout this document, we identify our strategic areas that we really want to focus on, and then we highlight under each one of those areas what our 5 E's are and what those may be: increased enforcement at intersections, or maybe it's an app for teen drivers or something like that. So just to give you an idea. During the past 5 years, we've had 360 people have died, and over 10,473 people have been injured in reported crashes within Pinal County. So those just aren't crashes or those are actual mothers, daughters, husbands, wives that did not make it home. And so the plan is, like I said, wrapping up, and it is out for public comment right now through February 22nd. We have 2 public events taking place. For February 21st, we will be in the town of Florence at their 3rd Friday event from 5 to 8. And then Saturday, February 22nd, we will be at Los Dutchman's Days from 10 to 2. So this just gives you an idea. From 2014 through 2028, we have secured $7.1 million in safety funds for the city of Casa Grande. The 2 last projects there that say pending, we have submitted those to ADOT for consideration for HSIP, Highway Safety Improvement funding eligibility, and we're waiting for ADOT's response on if those are eligible or not. So Since 2014 through 2026, we have secured $28.9 million in highway safety improvement funding for not just our region, but all of Pinal County. And in May of 2024, we submitted another $20.4 million of HSIP projects to ADOT for HSIP eligibility. If we're successful in bringing that $20.4 million in, we will have brought in $49.3 million in highway safety improvement funding to Pinal County. So we're pretty proud of that. Just a couple highlights of a couple projects that are within the city of Casa Grande. The Florence Boulevard West Camino Mercado pedestrian hybrid beacon. This was a project that was completed. It was actually advanced. It was programmed for 2019, and we were able to get it advanced to 2017 because of the number of pedestrian fatalities that we had at this location. This project was 100% safety funded. Another project that just completed in June of 2024 was the Cottonwood Lane and Cadota Avenue pedestrian hybrid beacon. We actually had one pedestrian fatality at this location. And so, and to qualify for highway safety improvement funding, you've got to have one fatality, unfortunately. And just to back up really quick, so the safety plan meets all the criteria for what we call, it's a new program, Safe Streets for All. And we've been working with all the towns, cities, and the county to identify projects that do not have that one fatal, and to identify, as long as we have data, crash data, we can submit grant applications for the Safe Streets for All. So once the Suncor MPO Executive Board adopts this safety plan, any city, town, or the county can apply for Safe Streets for All grants. So back in 2019, we did a transit study for the city of Casa Grande, and that's the technical advisory committee that Mayor Fitzgibbons was participant on, and we really were thrilled to have her. The project was funded through a competitive grant through Federal Transit Administration. The study included a very huge outreach to the public, and we had over 500 responses from the public that said 91% of the survey respondents said they would be in favor of transit, and 74% said that they would use transit. In 2020, the city of Casa Grande was eligible for what we call CARES Act funding. It was the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security funding. It could only be utilized for transit. And so in coordination with the city of Casa Grande, a 5-year transit implementation plan was done, and to look at utilizing that CARES Act funding to fund a microtransit service, which is CG Link today. That service began in October of 2023. The I-10 Courts and Traffic Interchange Design Concept Report was completed in June of 2021. This is for a new interchange at Courtston. The city has applied for several USDOT competitive grants, and fingers crossed, maybe this time we will be the recipient of that. So just a few infrastructure projects that I want to highlight. So we are currently partnering with the Arizona Department of Transportation on a dynamic message sign. And you'll see that on State Route 387, there are several proposed locations. ADOT does not put dynamic message signs on state routes. And so this was a new adventure for us to go down, and Jason and I took some time convincing ADOT that this was needed. And so we turned our $569,000 of carbon reduction funding into this $2.9 million project with ADOT. And so they agreed to put some dynamic message boards on State Route 387 along with SR 87 over by Coolidge, and also as you get off of I-10 over by Eloy. And then a couple additional larger message signs on I-10 near Val Vista and Early Road.
That's cool.
This was a $1.5 million pavement preservation and right turn lane project at Val Vista. Again, we'd had several accidents at this location, and so this was a HERF exchange project where we swap our federal funds for HERF, and the city of Casa Grande can actually hire their own designer, and bid this project without having to follow the federal, all the federal rules and regulations. And this is a list of additional projects, excluding all those safety ones, that we have helped and assisted the city of Casa Grande in attaining over $15.9 million. So 2 years ago, we were very successful in obtaining state funding. And so we have another House Bill 2304. This is through the Rural Transportation Advocacy Council, through, we call it RTAC. And this year we are RTAC in conjunction with the councils of governments and the MPOs across what we call Greater Arizona, which excludes Maricopa and Pima County, will be going after a $400 ask through our state legislature this year. And the Sun Quarter MPO has $32 million worth of projects listed in that ask. And so we're fingers crossed that we might be successful. I'm hearing the budget outlook is looking more favorable. So if you get a chance to talk to any of your state representatives, House Bill 2304. So what does the future of the MPO look like? So you can see that there are 2 new positions added onto this org chart, the Transportation Planning Manager and the Operations Manager. The Technical Advisory Committee and the Sun Quarter MPO Executive Board have recognized where our success has been over the past 10 years, and that has been through competitive grants, most of them through ADOT. And so with the board's permission and the Technical Advisory's permission as well, we are going to be pursuing these 2 new positions, utilizing some of that $730,000 that we get a year to do design and construction projects. ADOT has seen a 144% increase in percentage in cost since 2016. And so we just can't keep up with the current inflation rates. And so we want to put most of our focus on grants. And the Transportation Planning Manager is going to be managing a pre-scoping program, which was going to take some of that $730,000 in pre-scope projects, getting them to 30%. So we have a good idea of scope, schedule, and budget. And then we'll utilize that for pursuing grants going forward. And that Transportation Planning Manager will be writing grants for our member agencies. And then the Operation Manager is going to be assisting me in the day-to-day financial and all the federal reporting requirements that are required as the MPO. So we're excited for the future, and we look forward to see where it takes us from here. And with that, I will answer any questions that anybody might have.
Thank you, Irene. Any questions, comments? No?
Lots of good information.
Yes. Very, very thorough.
And much like Andrea, I'm happy to sit down and talk to any of you, especially the new council members, one-on-one, to help go into, this is very high level, very quick, on any additional information that you might like to have.
And Irene, I just wanted to thank you, because you're right. It's hard to believe that you've been with this organization for 11 years already. Wow,
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like it. It just seems like yesterday. Matt and I were just talking about that. But it is amazing that we hit that threshold, and even back then we couldn't believe we hit that threshold at that time, and then look where we are now. But I'm just amazed with the amount of money and projects that you have helped facilitate in our community. You know, you talked about you can't build a lot on 730,000. No, we can't. And so, you know, we just appreciate, you know, everything you do with grants, you know, earmarks, allocations. I've seen you in action. I see you at events. You're everywhere. And what I appreciate about you and your staff, what your staff of one, Jason, I know.
Jason Botchin, by the way, my
I
deputy
know.
director.
Thank you. And Dwayne too.
Oh, Dwayne, yes.
And so, and you have some of our partners, Wilson and Company and whoever that also participate, but I appreciate you being at community events and really getting I would imagine you probably need some of this for your applications, but just getting the word out, getting people engaged, explaining to people. You guys are always so good in the community when you're doing all of these studies and input and collecting all that. So, but no, I, you know, you're bringing in 2 new people, so we're expecting, let's see, if you bring 23 million, you're doubling staff, so 46 million maybe?
At least.
So we're,
Fingers crossed.
We're gonna-
Hopefully the USDOT doesn't change too much up in Washington here
Right,
in the
right.
next couple of months. So
right, no, but thank you again,
Thank you.
and to Dwayne, I thought Dwayne was
Yes.
in here somewhere. I know Dwayne, he works closely with you, so, and everything that you do with the staff, and so, but thank you for the presentation.
thank you very much.
Oh, here, sorry.
I'm sorry,
Ernie,
just
one
thought,
more.
I thought of one thing, but when we were doing this all those years ago, you know, it's kind of making it's a big decision for us, but I'm glad that we kept it more on our local side, because I know if we had gone with some of the bigger
Right.
agencies, we might not have the control we have to dedicate the projects to our local communities. Even Casa Grande, but if it's good for us, it's good for Eloy, and if it's good for Eloy, it's good for us and even the county. So you've made a good partnership there with all the stakeholders, so I'm glad to see that. And if you do get, when we do get the Courtson Road interchange, that'll get that
Yes.
budget way up there, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
That will
that'll
take you
reach our
way over
goal.
that,
Yep.
you know, because I think that's at like $66 million estimate right
So
now.
that'll just be right.
Yeah, when Dwayne and I
Okay.
first started on that, I think it was like $19 million was the estimate, and so it's definitely increased over the last few years.
Yep.
So Jason and I both have previous experience at the Arizona Department of Transportation. I worked there for 10 years, and Jason worked there for five years. And so one thing that we have really been able to help our member agencies, and I know Dwayne really appreciates this, is providing we're like an extension to staff. We understand the federal process. We do all the initiation of projects for all of our member agencies and help them through the federal process. So I think that is something unique that we do that probably a lot of the MPOs do not do.
So the key takeaway, House Bill 2304, remember.
Yes,
There's
remember.
two projects in there for the city of Casa Grande. so-
Exactly.
Okay,
Thank you. Have a great evening.
thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a break, right, till 7 o'clock? Okay, we'll adjourn this meeting. So I need to adjourn. Okay, guys. Yeah, I know, right? Well, I'll just pass it over to Anthony, huh? Put this, and you guys, make sure you speak into your microphone, because a couple people said that they couldn't hear.
Like
Make sure you speak
straight
into
in.
the microphone. Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'll go ahead and ask all of those of you that are willing and able to stand for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. We have Pastor Paul Elgin that's here from the First Presbyterian Church.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council, citizens of Casa Grande, would you pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, your Psalms tell us that you are the Lord that watches over us. The shade of your right hand is where we will dwell. The sun won't harm us by day, and the moon, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep us from all harm, and he will watch over our lives. The Lord will watch over our coming and going, both now and forevermore. So we pray to you, Father, who never sleeps. We lift up our nation to you this evening and its leaders. We pray that all citizens and employees of Casa Grande, its mayor, its city council, that they might be blessed by you, because we call upon your name, and we know that you will never forsake us, and you will never let us go so far away from you that you can't find us again. Thank you, Father, for your saving power. Now bless the work of this council tonight. May they be following your wisdom and your guidance. Give us all a measure of your wisdom and an extra portion of your spirit to discern your paths and your design. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Elgin, and thank you to the Faith Alliance for providing this invocation, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Herman. Okay, let's see, Yvonne, if you can please accept for the record that all of the council are here.
So noted.
Okay, first item are the minutes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move to approve the minutes of the council meeting of January 21st, 2025, approval of the minutes for the city council special meeting of December 16th, 2024, and accept for the record the Community Services Advisory Board meeting October 24th, the Historic Preservation Commission meeting November 25th, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting December 5th, the Transit Advisory Committee meeting December 10th, and the minutes of the Police Personnel Retirement Board dated December 19th, 2024, as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All of those in favor, or any discussion on any of these? Okay, our commissions and committees have been really busy, haven't they? Yes. There's a lot of them here. So all of those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next are the claims.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve the list of claims for January 15th through January 28th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all of those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The meeting agenda approval. Any changes, Larry?
Madam Mayor, we do not have any specific changes. However, we do have 2 executive session items. I don't know if the mayor and council would prefer doing reports before that.
Sure, with the council? You will,
Yes.
so we'll have to pull that up, so we'll need a motion with that exception to move that over.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move to move the reports before the executive session on our agenda tonight. Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have no special presentations this evening, So the consent agenda, all items listed with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to pull anything off the consent agenda? No? Larry? Staff, anyone? The public?
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Yvonne, can we get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan,
Yes.
Councilmember Badillon,
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons.
Yes. Okay, public comments. If there's anyone here that would like to speak to the council on any items that aren't on the agenda, now's the time to do so. So if you would like to come up and speak to the council. And I know I have one speaker card, but it looks like it's for one of the agenda items. Is that correct? I think Kirk is here. Okay. Anyone? Nope. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comments. So now award of contracts. Hi there, Aaron.
Thank you, Mayor Fitzgibbons. Aaron Walter, Deputy Director, presenting on behalf of Danny Gallegos, Community Services Director. The staff recommends the mayor and council authorize the contract with Bestway Electrical Motor Service to demo, remove the existing cement slab from the site, and construct a new concrete cement slab from the vertical turbine pump station at the Dave White Golf Course. The cost for this project is $26,415.92. And one of the things I do want to make note too is this is an additional project staff decided to add on to the current vertical turbine pump station replacement project that's going to be taking place here shortly at the golf course. Through a competitive bidding process, the Dave White Golf Course secured 2 new vertical turbine pump stations manufactured by MC&I Flowtronics, with Bestway Motor Services as an authorized installer for MC&I Flowtronics, selected to handle the installation and commissioning. The back 9 pump station is scheduled for delivery in early February, while the front 9 pump station is expected to arrive in March. In October, staff held an on-site meeting with representatives from MC&I Flowtronics and Bestway to coordinate the logistics and timeliness of the installation. During the meeting, it was determined that the existing cement slab for the front 9 was no longer level, which could compromise the proper installation and performance of the new pump station. Given the significant investment in the pump station, staff determined it was prudent to replace the front 9 cement slab to provide a stable and level foundation. The decision aims to prevent potential operational issues caused by an uneven base and to ensure the new foundation supports longevity and efficiency of the equipment. The 4-year 24 CIP funds, which we carried forward to 4-year 25, for the back 9 pump station is $250,000. An additional 4-year 25 CIP fund for the front 9 pump station is $300,000, totaling $550,000 for the pump station project. Currently, $486,984.40 is encumbered for the pump station purchase and installation, leaving an available balance of $63,015.60 for this project. The price of the project, once again, is $26,415.92. This project is based on a City of Tucson Save Co-op contract 212719-01.
Thank you, Aaron. Are there any questions for Aaron? Or comments? Nope. Okay, I can get a resolution number, please.
Resolution number 5745, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Bestway Electric Motor Service Company, Inc. for the removal and installation of a concrete slab at Dave White Golf Course, authorizing the expenditure of public funds and authorizing execution of contract with or purchase order to Bestway Electric Motor Service Company, Inc.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve resolution number 5745 as presented.
A second. Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, if no discussion, Yvonne, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Bedillin?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Thank you again, Aaron.
Thank you.
Okay, we're item K1. Who's that?
Madam-
Item K1, it's listed as the city clerk, but this is a second reading
Okay.
of an item that was the zoning from the last time. It was not placed on consent because it did receive a no vote.
Okay.
And so staff is available for questions and planning staff for any technical questions regarding the item.
Okay. So do we just, if anyone has any questions, do you remember, this was on the last agenda? So if there's any questions, if not, do we just go ahead and have another ordinance number, please? Is that right, Yvonne? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Ordinance number 1178.458, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance number 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from multifamily residential R3 to planned area development PAD on property located generally at 2060 North Treckle Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move approval of ordinance number 1178.458 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, Yvonne, if we can get a roll call vote.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Bedillin?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
I was the no vote, and my belief that Courtyard is trying to squeeze additional buildings in an area that I don't think they belong still applies, so I'll vote no.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Okay, item K2. Looks like it's Brenda.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. This evening, I'm presenting a resolution 5745 to accept the audit results for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2024 audit and confirming compliance with Arizona Revised Statutes 4114-1494 and 9-481H. First, before I bring up Brian Hammerly, I'd like to acknowledge the finance staff that are all here with us this evening. You guys will all stand up for me. Not getting away yet. The audit process is a significant undertaking, and while not every member of the finance team is directly involved with the audit, their unwavering support and assistance throughout the process has been very crucial. Beyond their contributions to the audit itself, the diligence and care shown in their day-to-day responsibilities play an integral part in ensuring the audit is completed on time without undue questions and concerns. And so I'd just like to say thank you for all of your guys' support in everything that you do on a daily basis. I'm proud to report that we successfully issued the audit report ahead of the December 31st audit deadline. This achievement is especially notable as during the audit process, the finance team was also working on the implementation of the Tyler ERP system, as well as the kickoff of the enterprise permitting and licensing software and the launch of the short-term rental permitting system. So we've had a lot going on through this whole process in the last fiscal year. Joining us this evening is Brian Hemmerly, a partner at Baker Tilly, who will present the audit results. Brian is known for his extensive expertise in government audits and is a frequent speaker at conferences such as the Association of Government Accountants, Government Finance Officers Association of Arizona, Arizona Society of CPAs, and Arizona Association of School Business Officials. His specialization includes providing audit and single audit services for government entities, nonprofits, school districts, municipalities, counties, state agencies, and court audits. Tonight, Brian will be reviewing several key reports: the financial statement audit report, the government auditing standards compliance report, the annual expenditure limitation report, and the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality report, and the federal single audit. Don't panic, he's not going to read them all. He's going to do the highlights for you. We did provide hard copies of 3 of those reports for you tonight, and all of the reports were attached to the council agenda item. I'll now turn it over to Brian to walk us through these reports and findings.
Good evening, Mayor Fitzgibbon, members of council. Thank you for having me tonight. Good to see all of you again. I am Brian Hemmerly. I am the lead audit partner for the City of Casa Grande's June 30, 2024 fiscal year audit reports. Now, there's many reports the state requires, the federal government requires, and we're going to go through them as briefly as we can. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at any point during the presentation. There we go. Okay, this first slide is a summary, essentially, of the audit. And so what happened is this year you did receive an unqualified opinion, which means you received a clean opinion. There are no material misstatements that needed to be reported to management or governance, and your unqualified opinion was reported on your total annual comprehensive financial report. That's the big report. It's probably about 300 plus pages, and that's the report we identify as really your substantial report that you should take a look at every year if you get a chance. It goes to bondholders, citizens, granting entities, the state of Arizona's Auditor General's office, and again, you received a clean opinion on that. The second report we have is our Government Audit Standards Compliance Report. This is a report on compliance with laws, regulations, grant agreements, debt covenants, things of that nature. Nothing came to our attention this year that needed a report, a qualified opinion on that report, so you are in compliance with all those items noted within a material amount. Oops. A couple items I'm required to report out to governance each year. Our audits do provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are materially correct. We do not provide absolute assurance. That would take a very, very long time, and it would be very cost ineffective for the city, for the citizens, and even the grantors. So what we do to get to that reasonable assurance is we do statistically valid sampling, we do detailed transaction test work, we test your internal controls, we walk through internal controls, we observe those controls, we talk to members of governance, members of management, and we do an extensive search for anything that might be material misstatement within the financial statements. This year, there were no internal control matters that needed to be reported for various controls that we tested. We had no qualitative aspects that needed to be disclosed outside of Note 1. Your Note 1 is your qualitative aspects for the entire city. There were no significant unusual transactions. All significant and unusual transactions were audited. No significant difficulties were encountered. We had no disagreements with management. We had no circumstances that affected the former content of our audit report. We're not aware of outside audit consultations. There was no uncorrected misstatements. However, we did have one recommendation to management that's not on the slide. It's related to capital asset reconciliations for developer capital assets that are contributed to the town for CFDs, community facility districts. The issue with that roughly is a recommendation to have the finance director sign and approve all CFD capital assets that are being contributed to the city so that they're accurately reported in the finance statements each year. This year, there was one CFD capital contribution that didn't get quite classified correctly towards the end of the audit, but it was determined to have been picked up right before issuance, so it is in your finance statements this year. But that was the only recommendation we had related to the audit this year. Okay, the third report is your annual expenditure limitation report. This is required by the state of Arizona. You do have a $277.9 million expenditure limitation this year. The city expended $105.1 million of that limit, which means you came under your expenditure limitation by $172.8 million, really, really below your expenditure limitation this year. So that was filed with the Auditor General's office on time. There was no issues with that audit, and you received a clean opinion on that audit as well. You have a landfill, and it requires an Arizona Department of Environmental Quality audit. They have specific things we look at there. The items they want us to look at are cash to expenditure ratios have to meet the required 0.05. It did. Your debt expenditure ratio has to meet the required 0.2, and it did. Your ACFR is audited by a CPA, that's us. Audit received an unmodified or clean opinion, again, you did. And there are no operating deficits greater than 5% of revenues for the last 2 years, and that was the case this year. So you did receive a clean opinion on that. Okay, your fifth report, this is your last one. Your federal single audit report. Whenever a city or town spends more than $750,000 in federal grant money in 1 year, the federal government requires that you get a separate audit of specific grants within that spending. The grants that we're required to test depend on a formula we have to do. This year's major programs or major grants that we had to test were your Staffing Adequate Fire and Emergency Response. This is the SAFER grant related to firefighters. And then your COVID-19 Federal Transit Cluster grants were also selected. Both grants received an unmodified or clean opinion, so you had no findings on your federal grants during the year. You spent about $3.1 million in federal funds, and then you did pass on $64,000 worth of subrecipient funds to other entities. There are no outside consultations that we are aware of from management. We are not aware of any fraud during the year. We did not identify or detect any fraud. We do search for fraud. We do plan our audit around detecting fraud, and we did not detect any fraud during the year. You had no going concerns. We do think the city will be here a year from now. And there are no related parties that were material enough to meet the requirements to be reported in the annual comprehensive financial report. A couple non-attest services we have. We do help prepare the financial statements. There's some adjusting journal entries we help with. We do compile some regulatory reports for the federal government, and we upload those to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse website, and we do help with preparing management's discussion analysis. I will mention that last item there, management's discussion analysis. If you don't have a lot of time to read the 300-page ACFR, management's discussion analysis is just a handful of pages. It's management's opportunity to discuss with you, the council, and the citizens the results of the year, and it's a really great read. We don't provide an opinion on that, but we do make sure in relation to the financial statements, it's accurately being stated. So there isn't anything in there numbers-wise that disagrees with the financial statements. So I would suggest that if you have time to read just those few pages of the management's discussion and analysis of the annual comprehensive financial report. And with that, that's my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions, comments?
Thank you.
Brian, thanks for being here again.
Yeah.
You've been coming year after year. It's
Yeah.
nice seeing you again.
It's a pleasure
So,
coming, yes. Thank you for having
thank
me,
you.
yes.
And it's actually a pleasure when you see the no findings. You know, when you look at a report like this and when you just see the no, but it's good to have all the no's on there. But because there have been years where we have had some findings. And so Brenda, where did she go? Brenda, to you and all of you, all of the staff, you know, thank you guys for everything you do. You know, just your attention to detail and continuing to improve processes and everything. So we're very, very grateful and we're very proud. I know when I was looking at it, I was so excited to see there was no findings or anything. So again, congratulations to all of you and thank you.
Thank you.
So I believe we need, resolution number, right, Yvonne?
Yes.
Okay.
Resolution number 5746, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting the fiscal year 2023 to 2024 financial audit results submitted by Baker Tilly, U.S., LLC, and confirming compliance with Arizona Revised Statutes 41-1494 and 9-481H.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move to approve resolution number 5746.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Yvonne, can we get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Badillon?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Okay, item L1. Okay, Jacqueline or Paul, one of you two, huh?
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. The first agenda item under L1 is the Bianco annexation. Oh. It's a little overview on this annexation. It's approximately 81 acres and is comprised of 3 parcels generally located at the east of Bianca Road and south of Illinois Road. And it's found to meet the statutory requirements for annexation eligibility. On August 19th, the City Council held a public hearing regarding the proposed annexation, and the signed petition was filed on December 10th of 2024. In order to have a successful petition, there's a 2-pronged test according to state statute. And the first one is that the number of property owners within the annexation must be over 51%. So 2 out of the 3 property owners signed, equaling 67%. And the second test is that the total overall value of the property reflected within the ownership that is signed is over 50%. So in this case, 50.4% of the total overall value met this requirement. So the 2 requests regarding the annexation before you tonight is the infrastructure and service plan associated with the annexation. Again, per state statute, the city shall have an approved plan, policy, or procedure to provide the annexed areas with an appropriate level of infrastructure, including wastewater, water, roads, and services within the next 10 years. This plan is part of today's council packet and has been approved by Public Works. And the second request is the approval of an annexation and initial zoning via ordinance. I will note that if the annexation is successful, there is a pending rezone to industrial that I will talk about later. However, I do want to note that per state statute, when zoning, the initial zoning is annexed, it cannot have a greater additional development rights than what's currently in the county. So it's currently zoned general rural in the county, and urban ranch is our most equivalent zoning to that zoning district. So with that, it is recommended that the mayor and city council approve a resolution adopting the infrastructure and service plan. And secondly, it is recommended that the mayor and city council approve an ordinance adopting the annexation and initial city zoning of Pinal County General Rural to City of Casa Grande Urban Ranch. Happy to answer any questions council may have.
Okay, any questions, comments from the council? Okay, Bob?
Yeah, Jacqueline, what was the numbers on percentage of valuation for?
50.4%.
So that's pretty close. Normally, we have more than that, don't we, of a balance of that? And my question is, how do we arrive at that? How do we come to that number?
So it's based on county's assessor's evaluation of property on its it's part of the assessor's website, and they send it to us.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But it looks 3 out of, or 2 out of the 3 property owners. Did you, was there any feedback on that 3rd property owner, or did they just not get back with you?
So originally, the applicant, the owner of that 3rd parcel was going to be involved in this, but the applicant could talk a little more about that if you wish, but if you'd like. But apparently, he was out of town and there was some, he was sick, so he wasn't able to sign the petition. So in this case, it's not that he was against it, he just wasn't able to sign it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just want, back to the map with the industrial park, or the I-2. Yeah, so this is our main industrial park over on the west side, right? So just a natural extension of doing that where we're doing great things and having these large industries come in and employment, so makes sense there.
Yeah, and I did forget to show, to kind of give you acclimated to the area. Effington to the east, that site's Kohler right there.
Okay. Okay, so if there's no other questions, so it looks like we have a resolution first and then the ordinance after that. So if I can get a motion, please.
You gotta read it first.
Oh, that's right. Read it. Sorry about that. Yvonne?
Resolution number 5747, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the Bianco Annexation Area Infrastructure and Services Plan.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move for approval of resolution number 5747 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? There's no. Let's see, it's not a public hearing, so do we, right?
Yeah, it's not a public hearing, but.
If he wants to.
At the pleasure of the
Okay.
mayor and council, you can allow people to speak.
Okay, sure. Sir, if you want to come up and if you can please provide your name and address for us for the record. And limit your comments to 3 minutes if you can.
My name is Burr Kennedy, and my address is 23824 West Clayton Road, Casa Grande. And I didn't quite understand what you were saying. You were saying that 50.4 of the, surrounding residents were for this?
Or the value of the property.
Within the annexation area.
Is that a yes?
Madam Mayor, would you like us to respond to that question?
Sure, yes, please.
So, sir, if you look on the screen, you see the area in green is the area being proposed for annexation.
Correct.
Within that area, there are 3 property owners. 2 of the 3 have signed the petition consenting. So that's the first part of, that's one test. That represents 67% of the property owners. The second test under statute is that of the property owners that have signed, the 2 that did sign, that their valuation exceeds 50% of the value of the property being annexed, and their property value is at 50.4% of the total area being annexed. So the statement we made is 2 of the 3 property owners in the yellow area have consented.
So it doesn't matter about the surrounding properties?
Not to meet the state statute for being annexed because your property's not being annexed.
Okay.
So only the properties being annexed are required to sign the petition.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Yvonne?
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Bedillin?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Okay, so second is the ordinance. We can get a ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 3457, an ordinance extending and increasing the corporate limits of the City of Casa Grande, Pinal County, State of Arizona, pursuant to the provisions of Title IX, Chapter 4, Article 7, Arizona Revised Statutes and amendments thereto, by annexing thereto a certain territory contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Casa Grande, known as the Bianco Annexation, and authorizing initial zoning of urban ranch UR within said territory.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move approval of ordinance number 3457 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Bedillin?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons.
Yes. Okay, item L2.
So the next three requests regarding this site consists of approximately 66 acres. The first request is a minor general plan amendment to change the Phase 2 growth area to Phase 1. A little background on this. Our general plan classifies areas either outside of the city's jurisdiction or areas that are not served by infrastructure in growth phase area 2. However, once an area is annexed and there is a service plan, it is appropriate to change that growth area to Phase 1. And as you can see, it aligns with the zoning and manufacturing area to the north and east. The second request is a minor general plan amendment to change 10 acres of the 66 acres from rural to manufacturing and industry. The 56 acres was already classified as manufacturing industry in an earlier general plan amendment. And the third request is to change the zone change from urban ranch to I-2 on 66 acres. We also, in my presentation, will be discussing the conditions of record that staff is recommending along with that zone change. And then as you can see, the 14 acres shown in green here will remain in urban ranch. So here's the review criteria for the minor general plan amendment regarding the growth area. All criteria has been evaluated and covered within the staff report. Staff finds that this criteria has been met. Regarding the general plan review criteria for the land use category, again, all criteria has been evaluated and covered within the staff report, and staff finds that all criteria have been met by the applicant. Regarding the zone change, again, there are three review criteria that's covered in detail in the staff report. I'll be covering the numbers 1 and 3. Regarding number 1, that the action is consistent with the city's general plan, including goals, policies, and other applicable elements. Under manufacturing industry, goal number 1 is provide and expand the manufacturing industry land use areas to accommodate a variety of industries. And action step under manufacturing and industry 1 is to identify locations where it would be beneficial to increase the manufacturing industry areas within the city. And goal number 5 is to encourage appropriate and responsible industrial development in appropriate locations. Third criteria is that the proposed zone change is necessary and proper at this time to meet the land use needs of the residents of the city. The city's current demand for general and industrial land is significant, and this rezone will expand that available area. The area does abut existing I-2 to the north and east. However, there is still rural development to the south and west. So we have requested to include additional conditions of record because we do want to be sensitive to these areas so that no conditional uses involving the storage, utilization, or manufacturing of volatile or explosive materials or products shall be allowed. All outdoor storage shall be screened by a decorative masonry wall. And at the time of major site plan applications, additional compatibility analysis will be considered based on use, since there's no use at this time associated with this zone change. Regarding notification efforts, staff and the applicant met all the requirements. At the Planning Commission meeting last month, there was an adjacent property owner that did express concern of the zone change and any proposed development, however, did not receive any other inquiries or comments. Regarding next steps, if the minor general plan amendments and zone changes are approved, a major site plan application would go to Planning Commission for consideration, and at that time, there'll be additional opportunity for public input. Regarding recommendations, at the January 2nd Planning Commission meeting, Planning Commission voted unanimously 7-0 to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for a minor general plan amendment to change the growth area from Phase 2 to Phase 1. And again, at the January 2nd meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously 7-0 to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for a minor general plan amendment to change the land use area from rural to manufacturing on approximately 10 acres. And regarding the zone change, at the January 2nd meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously 7-0 to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for a zone change from Pinal County General Rural, City of Casa Grande Urban Ranch, to City of Casa Grande General Industrial with the following conditions of approval and conditions of record. Happy to answer any questions. Oops, I had that title wrong, but that's the right zoning.
Okay, any questions at this time? No. Okay, so there's three separate matters here. So we'll go ahead and do them one by one, I would imagine, right, Brett? So the very first one, and we're going to have public hearings on all of them. The first one is the resolution adopting a minor amendment to the City of Casa Grande's General Plan 2030 by amending the growth area from Phase 2 to Phase 1 for approximately 66 acres of property generally located southwest corner of Bianco Road in Illinois. So at this point, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward on this resolution. And Kirk, I have a speaker card, but I don't know which matter it was on. Okay. Just let me know when it is. Okay, so anything else? Public hearing. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any other questions from the council at this time?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, so Yvonne, we'll go ahead and if you can give us a resolution number, please.
Resolution number 5273.35, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting a minor amendment to the City of Casa Grande General Plan 2030 as adopted by resolution number 5273 and its previous amended by amending the growth area from Phase 2 to Phase 1 for approximately 66 acres of property generally located at the southwest corner of Bianco Road and Illinois Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve resolution number 5273.35 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Badillon?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Okay, the next one is a resolution that adopting a minor amendment to the City of Casa Grande's 2030 General Plan by changing the land use designation from rural to manufacturing and industry for approximately 10 acres, property located at southeast corner of Bianco and Illinois Road. So at this point, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. If anyone would like to come up and speak on this matter. Okay, there's no one there, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any other questions from the council? Comments?
None.
Okay, Yvonne, if we can get a resolution number, please.
Resolution number 5273.36, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting a minor amendment to the City of Casa Grande 2030 General Plan as adopted by resolution number 5273 and as previously amended by changing the land use designation from rural to manufacturing and industry for approximately 10 acres of property generally located at the southeast corner of Bianco Road and Illinois Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move for the approval of resolution number 5273.36 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, so Yvonne, if we can get a resolution number?
A roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call. Sorry about that.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Badillon?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Okay, the third one on this ordinance is amending zoning ordinance 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from Pinal County zoning general rule city zoning of urban ranch to City of Casa Grande zoning General Industrial I-2 on property located at the southeast corner of Bianco Road and Illinois Road. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on this. If there's anyone that would like to speak on this. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any further questions or comments from the council?
No.
Okay, so if we can get an ordinance number.
Ordinance number 1178.463, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance number 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from Pinal County, Arizona, Pinal County zoning, general rural city zoning of urban ranch UR to City of Casa Grande zoning, general industrial I-2 on property located at the southeast corner of Bianco Road and Illinois Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move approval of ordinance number 1178.463 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, Yvonne, if we can get a roll call vote.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Bedillin?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Now we're in item L3.
So this next request is the Clayton annexation, which is comprised of approximately 520 acres. It's generally located at the east of Bianco and south of Clayton. Again, on August 19th of last year, the City Council held a public hearing regarding the proposed annexation. There was one objection raised by a property owner within that annexation area. The signed petition, again, was filed on December 10th, 2024. Regarding the property owners which signed the annexation consists of 54.5% and 74.4% of the total overall value of property is reflected within that ownership that's signed. Again, the two requests before City Council tonight is the infrastructure and service plan associated with the annexation via resolution. And second request is the approval of the annexation and initial zoning via ordinance to general rural urban ranch on the property. It is recommended that the mayor and city council approve a resolution adopting the infrastructure and service plan, and it is recommended that the mayor and city council approve an ordinance adopting the annexation and initial zoning to urban ranch. Happy to answer any questions city council may have.
Okay, any questions? Comments? Okay, so this isn't a public hearing, so we'll, at this point, take a resolution number, please.
Resolution number 5748, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the Clayton Annexation Area Infrastructure and Services Plan.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve resolution number 5748 as presented.
Okay, sorry, guys, no, this wasn't a public hearing, but if you would like to come and speak, that's fine, you can come up and speak. And if you can please state your name and address.
My name's Doug Keeling. I own 160 acres on this bit, and I'm one owner. There's only one other owner that owns the rest of it. So how do you get 50.4? And next thing, are you guys in the habit of making county islands?
It's illegal.
It's illegal. Well, you just approved the 60 some odd or 80 acres across the north side of this place. You left these people in the middle. Now you're going to do the bottom half. That makes it a county island, doesn't it? You're not doing your job because you don't know what you're doing. And I was in here the last time and I said, no, I do not want my 160 acres in the city. How many times do I have to come down here and tell you no?
So Larry, do we want staff to comment on this? Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, I'll first address the County Island issue that Mr. Keeling has raised. So it is illegal under state statutes to create a county island with an annexation, and we have not done so in this case. If you look at the map on the screen, you can see Desert Carmel is a large county area to the west of Bianco, and that unincorporated area of the county extends further north and south and does not create a county island with our annexation.
It will.
And then I will ask Jacqueline to address the property ownership and then the number of property owners that we're talking about here and which ones have signed and which ones have not.
Okay, thank you, Jacqueline.
So within the signed petition, there were 11 unique property owners. 6 signed the petition. As you can see in the blue-green color are the ones that signed the petition that are within the annexation. The yellow shows the signed the petition that reflects only the 33 feet of roadway declaration, which was required to meet the 51% of the signed property owners. The outline in red are the areas that did not sign the petition, however, are needed to be part of the annexation so that county islands are not created.
But right now, this annexation just does not take anything north of Clayton Road. It takes my 160 and Barnes's 320.
Madam Mayor, it does take the yellow area north of Clayton you can see on the screen.
That belongs to Barnes too, doesn't it?
And the Barnes family has several different ownerships.
Okay.
So that's why their signatures were able to be counted independently because they had separate ownerships of their properties.
Okay. So, Mr. Keeling, I know you said that you were one of 2 owners in this area.
There's me and the Barnes. That's all.
Okay, but there was 6 different owners that signed?
You want me to make 100 in mine, little 160? It's easy. I just start deeding 5 acres to every kid I got.
Okay. Any questions?
You have a card.
Oh.
You have a card, and he said he raised his hand.
Oh, do we have it up? Well, let's see, if Mr. Keeling would like any other, do you want to, there might be more comments if you want to.
Can we ask questions?
It's okay to ask questions then, Brett? Okay.
You've got the authority, obviously this wasn't listed as a public hearing.
Right.
But the mayor has the authority
Sure.
to allow
Of
discussion
course.
as necessary.
Okay, yes.
Would they lose any rights to the property usage with this?
Sure you do. You get to pay city taxes.
Is that the concern? I mean,
Yeah, it is. And every time I build a new building out there, which I've built several from that map, y'all want impact fees. And there's no impact fee. Because I don't have city water. And what's going to happen when I'm having a coyote problem right now on my cows? What happens when I shoot one of them and the cops come out to see, to arrest me for firing a gun in city limits? Or do I call the dog catcher every time I see one out there, and he gets out there 2 hours later, and that coyote's gone?
Okay, any other?
Oh, you got a card.
The last one I
Yes.
shot out there, you would have thought Kohler had a heart attack.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and we have a speaker card. Is this with this item? If you can give your name and address, please.
Yeah, my name is Kirk McCarville. I reside at 9405 North Paseo Palo Verde, Casa Grande, Arizona. I work for the Land Advisors Organization. I'm Pinal County Manager for the Land Advisors. We started working in this area 10 years ago, and we were doing it because this is where the general plan said industrial needs to go. And I have a number of clients out there. My very first client was Mr. Keeling, and we were able to affect some very positive results for his family and for the city. We put the Kohler plant on Mr. Keeling's property, and east of there, we put the Chang Chung chemical plant on Mr. Keeling's property. We started on the east because that's where the utilities are, the sewer line, the rail, the water. And our goal was to incrementally work our way to the west. We couldn't start on the west. You know, we had to start where the utilities were. So after 3 years or so of very contentious, very difficult negotiations, we were able to make, not because of Mr. Keeling, but because of the buyers. I'm very grateful to the Keeling family for letting me work on that project, which we call Phase 1. It's complete. You know, the Phase 2 is the Alza property to the west. We've been having a great deal of success there. We've already located 3 manufacturers there. We're about to announce another one. And the property that you see there, both north and south of it, is already in the city. It's already I-2. This is natural infill, and it gives us the economy of scale to help pay for the utility extensions that need to come through there. It's true that Mr. Keeling's property, he doesn't want to be in the city. I wish we didn't need to bring him in the city. I would avoid this at all costs if I could. However, he's right. We would create a county island if we left him out. We don't have that choice. My clients want to have the same opportunity that the Keeling family had, to get it annexed, to get it zoned, and to sell it to industrial manufacturing users. These are very high CapEx projects because they're heavy industrial. High CapEx means high dollar investment in plant and equipment. We've affected about $1 billion worth of investment on Mr. Keeling's property, which is all going into the tax base and bonding authority for the schools, bonding authority for the city. We've been very successful there, and I was very blessed to have the Keelings trust me with it. I'm trying to do the same thing for the Alza family with a great deal of success so far. I'm trying to do the same thing for the Barnes family. And quite frankly, when I started selling real estate here 40 years ago, I was helping farmers acquire new land, buy land for their children, expand their farming operations. In the last 10 years, I've been trying to help them shrink it. The future in farming is pretty bleak. There is zero water coming out of the Colorado River now to these farmers. The San Carlos hasn't had a full allocation in years. The best thing for the community, the city, everybody, transition these lands into basic employment, manufacturing. I noticed when the mayor left and gave his final speech not too long ago, he mentioned the fact that our family income had increased in the last 6 or 8 years from, check my figures if you want, but it was low 50,000 per family to low 80,000 per family. This is how you do that. You create jobs and employment for the community. You create tax base for the community. It's unfortunate that Mr. Keeling doesn't want to be in the city, and I wish we could leave him out, but that would be a violation of the annexation ordinance. And so we're here tonight to try to continue the progress we've been doing for 10 years, to try to bring more jobs here, more tax base, and create opportunities for everybody. That's all we're trying to do.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any, sure, come on up. And if you can please give your name and address, please.
My name is Kaylin Bellock. I live at 23820 West Clayton Road. My property is not part of this annexation. We're part of the county jurisdiction. But our major concerns, which I'm almost positive are the concerns of everybody else that's within that county, are my kids live right across the street from where you're trying to put industrial manufacturing. And right now, because of Kohler, we have semi-trucks that barrel down that road at all hours of the night. They shake our house. The dogs wake them up. And then they go outside, and we have to make sure that they're being closely monitored. Even though we live on an acre and a half where they were supposed to be able to run freely, go outside, play in the dirt, now you're going to put manufacturing, industrial, which heavy industrial from what it sounds like. So you're going to have all of the emissions from the plants. You're going to have the constant traffic that's only going to increase the semi-trucks because now they're delivering to all of the different plants around there. And so the entire purpose of us hoping to stay in Casa Grande, but have a little piece of what my kids could run around and grow up on, is going away. Even though it's not directly my property, everything around them is now industrial with these plans that you're proposing. So, thank you.
Hi there, if you can give your name and address, please.
Burr Kennedy, 23824 West Clayton Road. I'm her neighbor. So we have the same concerns, not to mention the unsightly, big manufacturing plant right across the street from us. But the trucks have gotten really bad driving up and down our road going to the Kohler plant, which didn't happen before. And we have a lot of garbage now. The trucks are going up and down there on the side of our roads. And we're concerned about the same thing she is, so there's no sense being wasting more time.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any further discussion from the council? Questions?
I have a question. Jacqueline, can you go back to the slide that had the owners that signed? Yeah, this one. So the ones in yellow signed reflects 33-foot roadway, so they're not actually in the annexation area, but they were considered as a percent?
Yes, so the properties along the north side of Clayton had to be included as part of the property owners to get the right-of-way for Clayton to be annexed, because there's also a county requirement that if roadway be annexed as well, so we couldn't annex half of Clayton Road.
Okay, but as far as owners getting to the 54%, those three were included as?
Yes.
In agreement?
Yes.
Even though?
If it's brief, because I know you already gave your three, just briefly, if you can.
I personally circulated those petitions. I did knock on every one of those doors. I didn't say anything other than the truth. We're required to annex that road so it could be paved. There was indications that the paving would come sooner than later. That's not for me to address, but I don't know why he's calling me a liar. I said, we need to annex these 33 feet, and that's how you get the road paved. That's all it was.
Okay. Okay, sure, sir. If you can state for the record your name too.
I'm Rudy Belloc. I did 20 years in the military. Okay, I have bad PTSD and traumatic brain injury. That's why I chose this place. That guy, he's actually came to talk to me 3 or 4 different times. Every time I talked to him, I asked him specific questions on this. What is it going to do for us? He never mentioned any of this. When I see, I don't have a lot of land, I don't have a lot of money. I'm a soldier. For them to box us in, we all know what that's called. We all know what it's doing. So I don't agree with any of this. And for my kids, I'm not going to have it. That's all I have. All my pension, everything I have, it goes to this house. So them blocking me in, it's not going to happen. I don't care what you guys do. I'll start putting. This is county road right now. We try to call them to fix the roads. Nobody comes out and fixes the road. We call the cops. They don't come out there. These semis are hitting 60, 70 miles down that road. They're just destroying stuff. Now, he came, he said, hey, we're going to help fix this. Okay, great. I'm all about you trying to help something. But don't tell me you're going to help and then don't do it, especially when you knew my father and my family. Because then you and me could have a problem, for real.
Okay.
What road?
Mr.
Ain't
Bellick.
no road fixed. So please think about this before you do it. Ma'am, you know none of us signed it. You were there at the meeting. None of us signed it. We had 12 people there. Nobody signed this. We did it in a barn. That's where the meeting was. Nobody signed it. Every neighbor that was there put a no, and she was right there, and she actually acknowledged it.
Okay.
So all this that they're saying is not true, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Bellick. Can you address his concern?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll try. First off, the areas in yellow that are being annexed that we're talking about here is the kind of the southerly 33 feet of the properties in yellow. And the reason why that's being annexed is because of the state statute and county requirements that when we annex the full right-of-way of adjacent roads. So you don't end up with half a road being in the city and half the road being in the unincorporated area of the county. You got to know who's going to maintain the road, who's providing emergency services, et cetera. So their right-of-way on their property is being annexed. The rest of their properties are being left in the unincorporated area. Each of those yellow properties did sign the annexation petition consenting to just annexing the portion of their properties that are road right-of-way. As part of the annexation, the city has agreed that we will improve Clayton Road with a chip seal and pavement, but we can't do it until it's annexed because we can't improve roads that are in the county, unincorporated area of the county, but the city is committed to paving Clayton Road upon annexation. So those are the facts as I know them.
And with the annexation, Paul, there comes services, police, fire.
Yes, the city, Clayton Road will
But in
be
the
a city
annexation
road,
area.
a city road for maintenance. The city will maintain it. Police and fire services will be provided, but they won't be provided to those residences that aren't being annexed, right? Because their houses and their residential properties are still in the unincorporated area of the county. But the road itself will be in the city. The city will be responsible for that road.
Okay. Sir, I know you've spoke already, and look, I definitely want to hear you, but if you can just make a couple quick comments, okay?
Okay, so they're going to go 33 feet from the property line, north of the property line?
Yes, sir.
But how's that going to affect our irrigation ditch? Because we're all irrigated properties there. 33 feet's going to cut out our irrigation ditch.
Your property lines are in the middle of the section, on the section line today.
Yes.
Kind of in the middle of the road. So the 33 feet will go from the middle of the road north. Your irrigation ditch will remain where it is. The city improvements will avoid impacting the irrigation ditch.
Are we sure about that? Because I'm not sure that we're 33 feet from the property line of our ditch. It may be within the 33 feet.
It is within the 33 feet. Our roadway improvements will not impact the ditch. We'll leave the ditch where it is. We'll pave the road.
Okay.
I'm still
You know-
against it, still against it.
Okay, and you know what, this isn't a public hearing, so I think we've been trying to hear from everyone, and we've heard from a couple of you, so we appreciate the comments. I just have a question, if there's anyone in the audience that did sign, that would like to speak at all? That was one of these owners that did sign? No one's in here at this point? Okay, I was just curious. Okay, so, any discussion, questions, comments from the council?
No.
No? Okay, so Yvonne, we'll go ahead and continue. Do what? Oh, yeah, with the resolution number.
Okay. Resolution number 5748, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the Clayton Annexation Area Infrastructure and Services Plan.
Okay, is there a motion?
Yeah, Mayor, move that we approve resolution number 5748 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion here with the council? Okay, so Yvonne, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bedillin.
No.
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons.
Yes. Okay, the second one is the ordinance number. If we can get an ordinance number, please, Yvonne.
Ordinance number 3456, an ordinance extending and increasing the corporate limits of the city of Casa Grande, Pinal County, State of Arizona, pursuant to the provisions of Title IX, Chapter 4, Article 7, Arizona Revised Statutes and Amendments thereto, by annexing thereto certain territory contiguous to the existing city limits of the city of Casa Grande, known as the Clayton Annexation, and authorizing initial zoning of urban ranch UR for certain properties within said territory.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve ordinance number 3456 as presented.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any other discussion from the council?
No.
Okay, no further discussion. Yvonne, if we can get an ordinance number, please. I'm
Roll
sorry,
call.
a roll call vote. Sorry about that.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Badillon?
No.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Okay, item L4. Looks like it's planning and development here.
Okay, so the next request is, again, on approximately 283 acres located at the southeast corner of Bianco and Clayton Road. This request includes, again, a minor general plan amendment to change the Phase 2 growth area to Phase 1, as well as a zone change from urban ranch to I-2 with conditions of record similar to the last zone change that I will go into additional detail. So again, regarding the review criteria for the minor general plan area, growth areas, again, as it's being annexed, this is appropriate to go into growth phase area 1 to accommodate that development. Staff finds that that criteria has been met and the development of the site is proposed to be an industrial site in the future. Regarding the zone change, the staff report goes into additional details on all of these. I will be covering 1 and 3. That the action is consistent with the city's general plan, including the goals, policies, and other applicable elements. Again, under manufacturing industries, provide and expand the manufacturing and industrial area to accommodate a variety of industries. And action step MI1 is to identify locations where it would be beneficial to increase the manufacturing industry areas within the city. Manufacturing industry goal number 5 is to encourage appropriate and responsible industrial development in appropriate locations. And third, the proposed zone change is necessary and proper at this time to meet the land use needs of the residents of the city. Again, the city's current demand for general industrial land is significant, and this rezone would expand that available area. The area does abut existing I-2 zone land area. However, there is still, again, rural development to the north and single-family zoning to the west. We have included conditions of record. There was a comment made about heavy industrial. The I-2 zoning is general industrial, and we've added a condition that no conditional uses involving the storage, utilization, or manufacturing of volatile or explosive materials or products shall be allowed. That's a general, more heavy use that would be restricted. And also that outdoor storage shall be screened by a decorative masonry wall. And again, at major site plan application time, additional analysis will be considered based on use to include additional criteria for compatibility. Regarding notification efforts, staff and the applicant met all the requirements. At the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last month, there was an adjacent property owner that expressed concern to the zone change and the proposed development. However, did not receive any other inquiries or comments. So regarding next steps, if the minor general plan amendment and zoning is approved, a major site plan application would go to Planning Commission for consideration, and there will be additional opportunity for public input. Regarding recommendations, at the January 2nd Planning Commission meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously 7-0 to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for a minor general plan amendment to change the growth area from Phase 2 to Phase 1, as well as voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval for the zone change request from Pinal County General Rural to City of Casa Grande Urban Ranch to I-2 with following conditions of approval and conditions of record as noted. Happy to answer any questions council may have.
Okay, any questions from the council? Okay, this is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak on this, now's the time to come up. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And Yvonne, if we can get a resolution number.
Resolution number 5273.37, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting a minor amendment to the City of Casa Grande General Plan 2030 as adopted by Resolution number 5273 and as previously amended by amending the growth area from Phase 2 to Phase 1 for approximately 283 acres of property generally located at the southeast corner of Bianco Road and Clayton Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move that we approve resolution number 5273.37 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Yvonne, if I can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan,
Yes.
Councilmember Badillon,
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons.
Yes. Okay, the second piece of this is the ordinance that, see 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from Pinal County zoning general rural, city zoning of urban ranch to City of Casa Grande zoning general industrial I2 on property located on southeast corner of Bianco Road in Clayton. So this is a public hearing also, so if anyone would like to speak on this, please come forward. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And the council, any questions? Okay. So if I could get a motion? Ordinance. Sorry, guys, there's so many of these like all in a row. Okay, ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 1178.460, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance number 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from Pinal County zoning general rural, city zoning of urban ranch to City of Casa Grande zoning general industrial on property located at the southeast corner of Bianco Road and Clayton Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I would move for approval of ordinance number 1178.460 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Yvonne, if we can get a roll call vote now.
Councilmember Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan,
Yes.
Councilmember Badillon,
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons.
Yes. Okay, and the last one on L5.
So this request is another zone change on approximately 18 acres. It's located at the southwest corner of Lawrence Street and Thornton Road, south of the Gila Bend Highway within the city's industrial corridor as well. So this zone change request is from I-1 Garden and Light Industrial to I-2 General Industrial. Again, here is the review criteria for zone changes. The staff report goes into detail on all of these. I will be covering 1 and 3 again. And the action is consistent with the city's general plan, including the goals, policies, and other applicable elements. And again, this is in the manufacturing industry area, and is one of the goals is to provide and expand the manufacturing industry areas to accommodate a variety of industrial uses. And then another thing I want to point out too is that it promotes diversified types of industries and uses. This zoning here, I want to point out there. The owner owns the area to the west and is looking at doing something similar to the building to the west, which is a multi-tenant building with light industrial and manufacturing. The I-2 zoning is at the quest to allow for a broader range of industrial uses that I-1 is limited to. And again, that the city's general industrial land is significant, that this rezone would expand that available area. The area does abut existing I-2 zoning to the south and west, and don't see any adverse impacts on this area, but again, at the time of major site plan, additional analysis would be considered based on use. Regarding notification efforts, staff and the applicant met all the requirements, and I did not receive any inquiries or comments. At the January 2nd Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the Commission voted 7-0 to move forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for the zone change from I-1 Garden and Light Industrial to I-2 General Industrial for lots 1 through 4 of the Casa Grande Business Park Unit 3, located at the southwest corner of Thornton Road and Lawrence, with the following conditions. And this is our typical right-of-way requirement. Happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to come up and speak on this agenda item. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. So if there's no other questions, Yvonne, if we can get an ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 1178.462, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance number 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from garden and light industrial to general industrial on property located at the southwest corner of Thornton Road and Lawrence Street, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor Fitzgibbons, I move approval of ordinance number 1178.462 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, if not, Gloria, if we can get a roll call vote.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Bedillin?
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgibbons?
Yes. Okay, so we have an executive session, but we did change to have reports before we go into executive session. So why don't we go ahead and start with reports? How about Mayor Pro Tem Herman?
Okay, thank you. It was a pretty busy week. I enjoyed the open house that we had. I thought that was a neat thing that we did. Got to talk to a lot of people. I want to thank staff for putting that together. Big shout out to Brenda and her crew because we had the best booth. So next time you guys be ready. But it was neat to talk to people. One thing that I heard is that like this lady that I know from, she always wants to talk about stuff, but she's intimidated to talk at the meetings. But she goes, I can talk to you here. So it was a really good way to get in touch with people that way. I heard a lot of questions about wastewater, apartments. And it was interesting because a lot of people didn't understand our processes. So that's something that we've discussed, like maybe getting that out a little more about how the processes work. And then also construction projects timelines so people know what to expect. And then also I've learned that people don't, there's some confusion over public versus private investments and how businesses go into town. So that would be another neat thing to educate people on. And perhaps we'll do that at our State of the City address. And I got to attend the employee recognition on behalf of the mayor, along with Sean and Anthony here. And it was really neat to recognize a lot of people for 5, 10, 15, and 20 years of service here. And it's a real testament to our city about how we have long-term employees and the leadership with Larry. And then it was also really neat because the department heads were there as well, who I think are obviously directly responsible for the people staying in these positions and doing a good job. So that was really neat to see everybody there in more casual setting. And then I got to attend the Frank Pratt Park dedication, whereas our big disc golf course is over there, and I learned that you can check out discs from the library to play disc golf.
Really?
And they told us that it's well known in the state. They get weekend tournaments, like 100, 120 people playing disc golf.
Nice.
So very neat. So, Youth Commission meeting this week, and then at our meeting next Monday on the 10th, we're going to have a study session with the Youth Commission to hear from them. So get ready for that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anthony?
I'll piggyback off you a little bit. So the open house, I thought went great. Talking about building relationships with our citizens in our community. So I thought that went great. Service award, once again, that we attended.
Yes.
That went very well as well. And good to congratulate those employees of ours of longevity from the 510. We have 20. We had 20.
20, uh-huh.
Yeah. And then I was able to drive one of the Lucid cars at Firebird. I really enjoyed that, although the helmet was squeezing my face.
How fast did it go?
But I drove very fast.
I can attest to that. He got me a little green in the gills for sure.
So I just enjoyed being able to drive. I hadn't driven any of the cars at all, so had the SUV, what I drove, and then the cars. Coming up, I know the 8th, the fire department is having the awards banquet. Chief, forgive me, I will not be here. It's my 35th wedding anniversary, so I'm gonna miss your awards on that day. You'll forgive me. Thank you, sir. So I'll be missing that. That's on the 8th. Also on the 13th, Faith Alliance will be having our luncheon at the LDS Church off of Colorado Road, and our mayor will be our speaker for that. And so that's on the 13th of February. And then also one more on the 22nd is the Casa Grande Police Department annual awards. That's at 6:30 at Ropes and Ranch. And so I just wanted to make mention of that.
Good.
I got you before you got it.
Who are you pointing to? Oh, Bob?
Bob.
Okay, Sean?
No reports for me to add. Matt and Anthony pretty much covered everything I was going to address, so thank you.
The Lucid, you
The
enjoyed
Lucid
that
was,
Lucid
oh my
ride.
God, yeah, it was so much fun. Hell
How
of a
about
car.
you, Bob?
I just want to chime in on Matt's report on the open house. I thought that was excellent, and I hope we do more of those in the future, and I hope it comes up during strategic planning, because I think that's a good element. That's all.
Thank you. Fred?
No new reports for me.
Okay.
Everybody else has covered it so far.
Okay, thank you.
No reports.
Okay. I just wanted to also talk about the open house, and I just wanted to thank Larry, the PIO team, and all the staff. I mean, many of you are in here today, and I just really appreciate, and us council members appreciate you being open to putting yourselves in that environment, and just, we didn't know what to expect and what people were going to say. I mean, we're all out there in the community and listening, but this was a way for us to go outside of our normal council, meetings, and go out and talk to the people in our community and see what their needs are, what, their interests are. So I agree. I think it was really successful. I think the thing that surprised me the most, I mean, you're right, a lot of it's what we expected, some of the issues or interests, but is that people literally just came to meet us. Like, they just are new people from this community, people that aren't comfortable coming to council meetings, don't know how to, get with us, even though we're accessible on email. But I was just surprised how many people were really just there to come and meet us. So, yeah, and then we have to remember we received over 1,500 surveys. So our staff is, putting those results together, and they're going to be providing us those next week at the strategic planning process. And then, of course, we'll use those, as we move forward. So again, thank you to all the staff for being there. I know it was a late night for all of you, and, I just thought it was a great night, and I hope we do it again. And to the council members for being there. Yes, your table, we didn't know, I don't think anyone knew that you were decorating tables.
Shout out to Brenda.
So competitive, you two.
If you're going to do it.
I know. So just quickly, again, a couple dedications this week. Longtime public servants, Frank Pratt dedication of the disc golf course. It was really fun the first time I threw those little frisbees, and it was a lot of fun. So get out there. It's at Viola and Casa Grande Avenue is the Frank Pratt Park. And then Bob Mitchell, a longtime public servant also, our mayor, council member, teacher of all of us here, I think, with the memorial and dedication was this afternoon right outside. So if you haven't seen it, please go over there and take a look at that. The Lucid Drive, it was great. The SUV is what what I want to get when they lower the prices a little bit. The legislative day, I did miss the employee awards, and I'm sorry for not being there for those people that received it, because that's important too. I did attend the legislative day to meet with the legislatures, and I'm not going to go into all of that, because I know Larry provides that on his weekly reports, you know, the different bills that are coming up. And so there's a couple things that we might try to help, you know, in the future, but I won't talk about that. But please read Larry's, you know, update on the different things going on in the legislature. The point in time count we did, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, which is our homeless count that we have annually. Well, it's all over the country, and we had ours last week. I think it was for 3 or 4 days. Volunteers and staff were out in the community and counting the homeless and surveying the homeless. Again, want to thank our staff. Our police department was with all of our teams. We had about 50 volunteers, I think it was, that were out counting homeless and surveying them. And the police department has always been great at supporting them and getting out with us, as well as, you know, Wendy with the police department and our housing staff, Mary and Nancy, and, you know, that group too. So thank you to all the volunteers and staff who did that. And then, I know there's a few things. Maricopa State of the City was a great, Larry and I attended that. Just remember, our State of the City here in the city of Casa Grande is March 5th, and that announcement, the invitations will be going out, I think tomorrow, this week. So save the date for March 5th for the city of Casa Grande. And then the chamber dinner, great event, and congratulations to your mom and dad. They're just so cute and just humble and just so well deserving of that award. So, and then Pinnell Partnership is, they have several of the mayors, so I'll be on the panel this week. So they're putting me, you know, right away, put me on that panel. So if anyone wants to go, it's at CAC. You just have to get with Larry, RSVP, if anyone wants to go to the breakfast on Friday. So with that, we'll go ahead and close the report and go into the executive session at this time. Do I need a motion? A motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed. Thank you, and thank you everyone for coming tonight.
Now you